Hey there, welcome back to another Bike Gladiator Ring video where I throw two different bikes together and see which bike is actually better. So in this video, we're going to be doing the 2021 Cult Control versus the 2021 Kink Gap. Now the Cult Control is a lot more expensive, but is it enough quality to actually beat the Kink Gap? You're going to find out. The Dumpster Bomb mission, growing BMX by making it fun and easy to understand. For some of us, it's an escape. For others, it's a passion. But for all of us, it's a lifestyle. You're gonna love this sport. I'm glad you're letting me teach you everything that I know about it. Real quick guys, as always, before I start the video, we're gonna do the shout out. And this one's just gonna go to Elias. He's in every comment section you could ever imagine. He's always on the live streams, always on the premieres that I do when I post these. So I appreciate it, man. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the support. So real quick, I do need your guys' help. Leave a comment, let me know which bike to do next, and then I can do it. Enjoy the video. Alright guys, so today we have the Cult Control going against the Kink Gap. First, before I start smacking them and see which one wins, I'm going to read the overviews from the manufacturer. So Cult says, this is what Cult says about the Control. Get your life back under control, that's clever, with this beast of a bike from Cult. Soak up these good vibes knowing that you're shredding a chromoly, front triangle, frame strapped up with loads of epic Cult parts. Down below are the Cult X Van tires. These have been incredibly popular, and it's super easy to see why. Maximum amounts of grips paired with an epic collaboration of brands make these things sick. And the Cult Control tires are pretty cool. In a slippery park, they wash out, but overall, they look sick. You can get the camo, and they grip really good on street. Anyway, this is what Kink says about the Gap. The Gap is a versatile machine, ready to handle anything you throw at it. Featuring modern geometry, the frame, forks, and bars add 4130 chromoly into the mix, and it's available in matte bone white, gloss black chrome. Components found on the Gap take things up a notch and are not to be missed. All right, so if you guys are new, this is how it's gonna work, okay? We take we take the cheapest bike and we subtract it from the most expensive bike. Whatever the difference is there is going to be the amount of points we take off from the most expensive bike. The reason we do that is so that we can figure out which bike is actually better bang for your buck. It's not fair for this one to have 4.6 points and this one only have 3.7. So we start them out with an even 10, and then everything that's better quality on one bike or the other takes off a point from the lower quality bike. At the end, we get a remaining amount of life points, and that tells us which bike's better. So let's get right into it. Alrighty, so first let's take off the price difference point. We have about a price difference of 1. I'm gonna round that up to 470 just to make the video simpler. Then I don't have to worry about the point, but it's gonna be a price difference of 100, which goes to 1 point, okay? So that turns into 9. And now we're ready to start the video. First, we're going to look at the frame material. Now, both of these bikes have a tri-moly frame, meaning that the front triangle is chromoly where the back end is high tensile steel. If you watched any of my other videos, I always rant on this, but when that back end is high tensile steel, it starts to bend as you start to do tail whips or 360s. So if you can afford to step it up and get a full chromoly frame, I always recommend that, especially if you want to start riding at a mid-level and you're going to be doing tricks that break the bike. Next, the bar material. The bars both are full 100% chromoly, so there's no points taken off yet. But once we get into the wheels, now the Cult Control has a single wall front wheel but a double wall back wheel. And this is really important because that single wall front wheel is fine. But a single wall back wheel takes a lot of beating, especially with big drops and big spins. So anytime you can, definitely make sure the back wheel is double wall. So this on the Kink Gap, it is only single wall. So we're gonna go ahead and take a point away from the Kink Gap, and now they're even. So, ooh, spooky. Looking at the weight, the Colt Control says 25 pounds. But here's the thing about Colt. They pretty much put 25 pound on every bike, and their weight is always hard to find. So I don't know if they do this on purpose or if they just genuinely don't know the weight, but it always takes me like a couple months and after the bikes come out to get that weight to put on the reviews. So I don't honestly trust this 100%, but for the sake of the video, we're gonna say this is accurate, and it definitely beats the 26 pound Kink Gap. So that is another point. We are down to 8 on the Gap, and the Gap hasn't lost yet, but it's not looking good. All right, next we have, are the bearings fully sealed? And on the Control, they are fully sealed. The only difference here is the Kink Gap's front wheel is a loose ball. I mean, everything else is sealed except that front wheel. But unfortunately, that's not enough to give it a fully sealed title. So now we're down to 7. There's no way it can win because these next two things aren't as important as all these things above here. They're only worth half a point, and they kind of just make up like some little perks with the bike. What I mean by that is the aftermarket parts. So the Kink Gap has 2 and the Colt Control has 2. That's a wash right there. Now there are no variations of the Control, but the Gap does have 2 variations. So we're gonna take off half a point there, and we finish out with 8.5 to 7. We have a winner. The Colt Control is definitely a better bike, but it's $100 more. So keep that in mind. If you can spare the $100, it'd be good to get that instead of the Gap. All right, so that was a lot of fun. Don't forget though, the Kink Gap does have those 2 variations that kind of separate it from the Control. What I mean by that is if you're a really tall rider, you would want to go with the XL version, which is not available on the Control. And if you want a free coaster, the Gap has a free coaster version, which is also not available on the Control. But overall, the Control is a much better quality bike, and if that's your main concern, it's a good choice for you. Now I have really in-depth video reviews on both of these bikes. I'm gonna just go ahead and pop them up on the end screen. You can take a look at that, watch the in-depth review. I talk about them for like 8 minutes. So I go really in depth. I'm gonna put that up because I think you guys will really enjoy it. And as always guys, if you love this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe because it really helps me out. With that being said, have a great rest of your day and leave a comment. Let me know which bikes to do next.